If I could just finish, you said you referred to a memo that Officer Defina had written when he was ordered in on his day off.
Right.
Well, and you also said there were several memos that had gone back and forth that day, and this was the final one. Well, here's a 4-page memo that maybe you haven't seen, and in it it states, this is written by Officer Defina. He says he was asked about my letter to the editor, and in it he says he has confiscated several knives from students at school. That was what was in my letter to the editor. I have dealt with several incidents involving knives while in the schools. Where it says, this is Officer Defina writing this, where it says, as well as discovering a student that was actually selling knives in school, that one I actually did. Where it says he dealt with fights on the school buses, that one I actually did too. Where it says numerous thefts, that one I did as well. Where it says threatening emails, there weren't so much emails, but rather letters and notes and blogs, which is kind of the same thing, but I've dealt with that too. Where it says confiscated drug paraphernalia, that one we also did. Where it says handle truancy issues within all our schools from Underhill to high school students, I have had truancy issues at all of the schools, but I'm not quite sure about Memorial. That's the letter, that's the memo that isn't getting passed around that he submitted.
Okay. Let me just address a couple of things there. You read about the knives that were supposedly getting sold in school.
No, I didn't read about it.
You brought that up. It
Right.
should be in your right to know request packet that you got. Okay? And if you read that report, it was reported to the police department 10 days after the incident happened. The kid sold the knife to another kid in school. They reported it to us 10 days later. We didn't seize any knife, if I'm going off my independent recollection, and those are in the right to know. So if I get a memo like that, okay, and that comes to me, I would say interpret it the same way you did. That's what happened in the school. Some kid sold a knife to another kid. But if you learn from reading the report that it happened 10 days, it wasn't reported to us till 10 days later, how can we count that as a knife getting sold in the school that we didn't know about? I can't stop that if I don't know about it.
So instead, the report that goes forward is the memo that you're passing out?
Oh, this is what I
claiming that there's nothing going on by Officer Defina. Now, this is inaccurate information, and it's very deceitful.
Who's inaccurate?
All right, I got an answer. I hold it right now. Hold it. That's it. I've had enough. I'm telling you right now. I want an internal investigation on this because either this was signed and he lied, or somebody else is lying. You have a copy of this. I want to. We have that memo that she's referring to.
Yeah.
I want the whole thing researched and reported back to this commission.
Who has the memo?
Stepping back from what I just said about that investigation, so that there's no questions of impropriety, Steve, I want county sheriffs to do it.
Understood.
Okay?
So for the record, why was a Defina memo sent out to the media after the February meeting between the school and police?
Well, the sheriff's department investigation.
Could you describe the scope of the sheriff's investigation?
No.
So we're not to be able to understand what you're investigating? Well, the reason I asked, Commissioner, is that you held up the memo and said we're going to investigate, calling for a sheriff's investigation. And I guess my question is, I've asked a couple of questions here tonight that were under that scope, and I'd just like to find out, is the investigation revolving only around that memo, or are there other issues that are included in the investigation?
The investigation was called for the accusations that there was untruthfulness in this department. And I put an end to it, and then it was the whole scope of everything going on.
So is it safe to assume that it's the entire department that's under investigation?
Well, it's the SRO issue.
The entire,
The
SRO issue revolving from there. That's the scope of the county sheriffs.
So it's just an investigation regarding the SRO officers program?
Any allegations made from such.
Merrimack County Sheriff's Department recently released its findings of the investigation it conducted regarding whether or not a cover-up existed by the Hooksett Police Department regarding safe school reports. To paraphrase, the investigation concluded that the Hooksett Police Department did not intentionally cover up safe school reports, they were just incompetent. The report contained a lot of he said, she said, but it also alluded to some very troubling practices. I'm referring to the investigator's comments that statements made by Commissioner Gagnon left an impression that he was speaking in terms that the police department and the police commission had acted as one rather than independently. The investigators also concluded that the Hooksett Police Commission could have taken a more active role in the handling of the incident. This view is based on the fact that communication between the police department and the complainants was very clearly deteriorating at a rapid pace. As a result, the lack of effective communication between the parties may have given an appearance that a cover-up of safe school reports was taking place. It is believed that the Police Commission, being both independent and unbiased, should have recognized the situation forming and stepped in sooner and taken a stronger role in the process of resolving the issue. The Commission could have ordered the production of the safe school reports prior to this action being taken by the Willettes. It is also described that the Police Department took a defensive stance regarding this issue. The report also states that if the Commission believes that additional action is needed, it is advised that they consider contracting an independent resource to conduct a full study of the department and its operations. I believe everyone in this room has an opinion regarding the operations, behavior, and management style of the Hooksett Police Department. Unfortunately, they are all very different viewpoints. At this time, is the Police Commission considering the option suggested by the Sheriff's Department to end the speculation once and for all and conduct a full study or a full audit? Thank you.
No.
We're talking about, just before you instigated the report by the Sheriff's Department, you held up the memo from August 15th, which was the fourth draft of the DeFina memo in response to Maura Olet's letter in the banner. And at that point, you said, we're going to find out who's lying. Somebody's lying here, and we're going to find out. We're going to have an investigation. And it's my understanding that the scope of that investigation didn't include that memo. That's my first question. And if it did we determine what happened with that memo?
I don't know how to answer that.
What I can do is, and I don't have it with me tonight, is I have the original letter that was sent to the Sheriff's Department with what they were asked to do. I can bring that to the next meeting.
Well,
And
I'm sure you've reviewed the report,
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
I haven't. I suppose I could write to them and get it. I don't know where it is, but my question is, in reviewing the report, does the report answer that question?
I do not believe on the specific memo. I could be mistaken,
Well, then
but I have a copy of that report, and I will check it out.
My question would be then, shouldn't we follow up on that to answer that question? Because your own words when you were holding that memo up was, we're going to find out. We waited, I waited, I got no further questions about it because I thought that there was a process in place that was going to find that answer. And to my knowledge, it hasn't been answered. Obviously, it's an important question to you because you're the one that stated we were going to find out about it. Can we have follow-up on that? Can we find out what happened to that memo? No?
Absolutely. Give me the original letter.
Thank you. At the last meeting, you told us that you would look into the issue of the fourth DeFina memo and who was lying about that. Have you done that?
I still haven't got that. They have not received.
The fourth memo?
I had asked for a copy of it, and I forgot who said they would present me
Well,
with a
Mr.
copy.
Gagnon, back in, I don't even know how long ago it was, you held that memo up and you said somebody's lying and we're going to find out. The sheriff's report didn't address it. I brought it up last month. You said you were going to address it.
What I said was, I would get a copy of it, and then we would address it, and I don't have a copy of it.
That was published to the, that was handed out in this room and you can't produce a copy of it, and therefore we have another month without any answers. Is that what you're telling me?
Can you tell me why Captain Celia thinks the sheriff's investigation was conducted on him?
I can. You? Paul, do you want to answer it?
That's what the sheriff, when I first initially
interviewed with the sheriff's department, they asked me what I thought the interview was about. That's what I advised them what I thought the interview was about, and I was not corrected. Because you have to have a subject of in an internal investigation as well as witnesses. So therefore, the sheriff's department did not correct the fact that I was subject of. Does that answer your question?
Did that mean the paperwork was miswritten, or?
Mr. Lizotte, you had your 5 minutes. Does that answer your question, Mr. Chair?
Not really.
Well, JR, why don't you ask him if the IA was miswritten?
Yeah, that's really what it, was it?
I can't, no, we're not, okay.
We have any general discussion here?
No.
No.
I was just wondering why the sheriff's investigation was not part of the SRO's memo as previously instructed by Chairman Gagnon. I was wondering who made the formal request for the sheriff's investigation.
We cannot, I believe the chief.
You actually have the letter. That was in your packet.
Yes.
Actually, I think you asked last month about that. Somebody asked about what was asked of the sheriff's department for them to investigate. It should have been in your packet.
I don't think so.
It was identified to be in your.
I was missing a few things in this package, so. Do you have it?
No, you were the only one that was going to because you had said.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I didn't read anything about that.
Yeah, it didn't go back.
Wasn't my bag.
That's all right, I had Henry's mail too. I had Henry's, yeah.
As you remember, the commission discussed having the sheriff's department look into it, and the question that was discussed here, and that went to the commission, the question that went to the sheriff's department was this: did any member of the Hooksett Police Department intentionally try to cover up the existence of safe school reports regarding the College School, or attempt to cover up safety issues in the Hooksett Public Schools?
And I believe that addressed the lie.
That was
Comment.
the wording from the commission of what the sheriff's department was being asked to investigate.
That was what I asked for last month when I said I had asked for a copy of it. It just went to Henry and said it to me. That's why I said I didn't get it.
But if you go back and look at the videotape, it's pretty clear that you said the investigation was going to be based on Jay's memo.
Correct, I do remember saying that.
Okay, and I'm just wondering, how did it come from the memo being investigated to safe school reports?
But that's what everything was based on, was the safe school reports. We were accused of lying on the safe school reports, was the accusation made.
I don't know. Is that Henry's or yours?
If I remember correctly, and I could be wrong at this point, it's going back months.
No. Yes, we can.
Going from memory, it was based on two conflicting stories, and we felt that somebody was lying on the safe school reports. We had two opposite ends.
I think you need to look at that memo, the videotape. You'll see that it's pretty clear that what the investigation was going to be on was about Jay's memo.
What was the memo?
Safe school reports.
What was the memo?
Excuse me?
What was the memo?
He had three or four different memos. One was basically,
The ones that we supposedly said to be rewritten 4 different times.
that is
Am I
correct.
correct?
That is correct.
I don't,
If you read the first memo and you read the last memo, you'll see there's 2 different stories in there.
which we've never read, I don't believe.
I would suggest you read those 2 because they're...
Okay. That's time, JR.
Thank you.